The classroom buzzed with conversation. A student from 12 different species settled into their seats. Maya Brooks sat in her usual spot near the back corner, where nobody paid much attention to her. She liked it that way. The Galactic Military Academy attracted the best and brightest from across the coalition, but Maya had spent 3 years making sure nobody thought she belonged in that category. Her test scores hovered in the middle range. Her simulation performances were adequate, but never impressive. When instructors asked questions, she gave answers that were correct, but not insightful. Commander Vekrin entered the room and the chatter died down. Dorian instructor stood over 2 meters tall with 4 arms and scales that shifted from blue to purple when he was annoyed. Right now, they were a calm blue. Today we begin your final evaluation. Vekrin announced. His voice carried the natural authority of a species that had been warriors for 10,000 years. You will analyze actual combat footage and provide tactical assessments. Maya kept her expression neutral. She had known this day would come eventually. Next to her, a Kryn cadet named Vexler leaned back in his chair. The Kryn looked like bipedal reptiles with ridged crests that displayed their mood. His crest was puffed up in its usual show of confidence. Finally, something worthy of our time, Vexler said. To the student beside him, these simulations have been too simple. Maya said nothing. She had learned early that silence drew less attention than any words could. On the other side of the room, her roommate Zara Quinn caught her eye and smiled. Zara was everything. Maya pretended not to be outgoing, enthusiastic, and eager to prove herself. The human girl had tried dozens of times to get Maya to join study groups or social events. Maya always declined politely. Making friends meant answering questions about her past. Her past was classified at the highest levels. The footage you will see comes from a real operation 6 months ago. Vekrin continued. The commander's identity remains classified, but their decisions will be your study material. A holographic display filled the center of the room. Maya recognized the star system immediately. Her heartbeat stayed steady through years of training. The footage showed 3 coalition ships near a border station. The timestamp read 6 months and 4 days ago. Maya remembered every second of that day. This is the Arcturus 7 incident, Vekrin explained. The Ravager Horde launched a surprise attack on our border station. 3 of their warships against our patrol group. By all tactical doctrine, the coalition forces should have retreated and called for reinforcements. The footage showed the moment the Ravagers opened fire. Maya watched her old ship, the Valiant Dawn, take heavy damage in the first volley. She remembered the screams over the comm channels. She remembered the smell of burning circuits and the taste of blood in her mouth. The senior officers were killed in the opening attack. Vekrin said. Command fell to a junior tactical officer. Watch what happens next. The hologram showed the Valiant Dawn breaking formation. It moved toward the asteroid field in a pattern that made several students gasp. That is insane, Vexler declared. Flying into an asteroid field while under fire violates every combat protocol. Yet observe the results. Vekrin replied. The Ravager ships followed, confident in their pursuit. The Coalition frigate wove between asteroids that would have destroyed most pilots. Ships' weapons fire from the Ravagers hit the asteroids instead of their target. Then the Valiant Dawn did something that made even Commander Vekrin's scales shift to an impressed purple. The ship used its tractor beam to hurl a massive asteroid directly into the lead Ravager warship. The collision broke the enemy vessel in half. Unorthodox. A VES student named Lyria commented. The VES were telepathic and their large eyes missed nothing, but effective. Maya felt Lyria's gaze on her. The telepathic species had always seemed curious about Maya in a way that made her uncomfortable. VES could read surface thoughts from most species. Maya had spent 3 years making sure her mind remained unreadable. The footage continued. The Valiant Dawn used the asteroids as both weapons and shields. It destroyed the second Ravager ship by leading it into a trap. The third ship tried to flee, but the coalition frigate was faster. Now comes the most interesting part. Vecran said. The hologram showed the Valiant Dawn closing on the station Ravager. Boarding parties had already entered the civilian sections. The commander made a choice here. Vecran explained. They could have pursued the retreating warship instead. They docked with the damaged station. Zara leaned forward in her seat. They went after the civilians. She said quietly, "Of course they did." Vexler scoffed. Weak choice. A true warrior secures victory first. Maya's jaw tightened slightly. She forced it to relax. Getting emotional would draw attention. The footage showed the Valiant Dawn's crew moving. Through the station, the commander led from the front. The video quality made it hard to see faces clearly. Maya knew that was deliberate coalition. Intelligence had made sure of that. The commander and 30 crew members faced approximately 200 Ravager soldiers. Vecran said, "Standard doctrine says this is suicide." The students watched as the small coalition force used tactics that seemed to defy logic. They split into teams that moved independently. They used the station's damaged systems as weapons. They communicated in ways that confused the Ravagers, who relied on hive mind coordination. That fighting style? Lyria said slowly, "It is very human." Vexler finished with disdain. Chaotic and undisciplined humans always fight like cornered animals. Maya allowed herself a small smile at that. Cornered animals were dangerous for a reason. The operation resulted in 847 civilian lives saved. Vecran said, casualties among the coalition crew were 30%. The commander survived. He paused and looked around the classroom. Tomorrow we will analyze the tactical decisions in detail. We will also watch footage from inside the station. The boarding action was recorded by security systems. Maya's smile vanished. Security footage meant faces would be visible. She had known this moment would eventually arrive. 3 years of hiding was about to end. Your assignment tonight is to write preliminary assessments. Vecran continued. What did this commander do right? What did they do wrong? How would you have handled the situation differently? The class began to file out, discussing the footage. Vexler was already declaring how his species would have handled things better. Zara caught up with Maya in the hallway. That was incredible, Zara said. Did you see those tactics? I have never seen anything like it in our textbooks. It was effective. Maya replied carefully. Effective but crazy. Zara laughed. My mom always says humans do not follow rules. We make new ones as we go. Is that what your mother says? She is an admiral. Zara explained. She has worked with coalition forces for years. She says human officers drive the alien commanders crazy because we think sideways. Maya nodded. Sideways thinking saves lives sometimes. They reached the dormitory, and Zara headed to her desk. I am going to stay up all night analyzing that footage. Zara said, want to work together? I think I will work alone tonight. Maya said she needed to prepare tomorrow. Her face would be on that screen tomorrow. Everything would change. She sat on her bunk and stared at the wall. For 3 years she had been Lieutenant Maya Brooks. Average student. Tomorrow everyone would know the truth. Tomorrow they would know she was the commander from Arcturus 7. Tomorrow they would know she had been hiding her strength all along. 6 months earlier, Lieutenant Maya Brooks had been running routine diagnostics at the tactical station aboard the Valiant Dawn. The frigate was 3 days into a standard patrol of the Frontier Divide. Nothing exciting ever happened on these patrols. That changed in an instant. Contact. The sensor officer shouted. 3 ships dropping out of hyperspace Ravager signatures. Captain Holland moved to the command chair. Battle stations. Get me A. The first volley hit before he could finish. The shields barely slowed the enemy fire. The bridge exploded in sparks and flame. Maya was thrown from her station when she stood up. The captain was dead, so was the first officer and the tactical chief and most of the senior staff. Report. Maya heard herself say. Her voice was steady despite the chaos. Young ensign at communications looked at her with wide eyes. "You are in command." "Lieutenant." Maya took the captain's chair. Her uniform was torn and blood ran from a cut on her forehead. None of that mattered now. "All hands. This is Lieutenant Brooks. I have command helm. Take us into the asteroid field, bearing 27 Mark III. Sir." "That is. Execute now." The Valiant Dawn banked hard behind them. The three Ravager warships opened fire again. The asteroids provided cover, and the enemy shots went wide. "They are following us." "Sir." The sensor officer reported. Maya nodded. That was exactly what she wanted. The Ravagers thought they were chasing a panicked ship running for cover. They had no idea they were walking into a trap. "Weapons. Target the asteroid at coordinates Delta-47 full power." "Sir." "That asteroid is the size of a building." "Fire." The tractor beam locked onto the massive rock. The Valiant Dawn's engines strained as they pulled the asteroid from its orbit. "Helm. Full reverse on my Mark III. 2, 1. Mark." The ship shot backward. The lead Ravager vessel had committed to its pursuit course. It could not turn fast enough. The asteroid slammed into the warship like a hammered enemy vessel broke apart. Debris scattered through the field. "Target the next ship." Maya ordered. "Use asteroids for cover and keep moving." For the next 20 minutes, they played a deadly game. The Valiant Dawn was smaller and more agile than the Ravager warships. Maya used that advantage. She led the enemy ships into narrow passages between asteroids. She used the rocks as shields and weapons. She fired only when she had perfect shots. The second Ravager ship took critical damage and exploded. Third ship's captain finally understood what was happening. It tried to retreat. "Do not let it reach hyperspace range." Maya said, "All power to engines." The chase led them back toward Arcturus 7 station. As they approached, the sensor officer gasped. "Sir, the station has been boarded. Multiple Ravager landing craft attached to the hull." Maya's hands gripped the armrests. The station held over 1,000 civilians, families from a dozen Coalition species children. "How many Ravagers on the station?" "Estimated 200 soldiers." "Sir." "And we have 31 crew members, including you." "Sir." The math was simple and brutal, but Maya had never been good at accepting impossible odds. "Helm. Dock with the station, all crew to the armory. We are going in." "Sir." The communications officer said carefully, "Standard procedure is to call for reinforcements. Those people do not have time for standard procedure. Move." 20 minutes later, Maya led 30 crew members into the station. They wore light armor and carried weapons meant for ship security, not for fighting a force 7 times their size. The Ravagers had different plans. They were slaughtering everyone they found. Maya heard the screams through her helmet speakers. "Teams of 5. She ordered. "Move fast and stay unpredictable. We are not here to win. We are here to buy time until help arrives." She took the first team herself. They moved through corridors filled with smoke and emergency lighting. The Ravagers fought in coordinated groups. They expected organized resistance. They did not expect humans. Maya's team hit them from unexpected angles. They used the damaged station systems as weapons. They sealed corridors and vented atmosphere. They set traps using maintenance equipment. When the Ravagers tried to predict their movements, the humans changed tactics. Maya fought like something the aliens had never encountered. She was fast and brutal and completely unpredictable. A Ravager soldier cornered her in a junction. It was twice her size, with natural armor plating it. Swung a blade that would have cut her in half. Maya dropped under the swing. She drove her combat knife up through the gap in its armor. The alien fell. 3 more came around the corner. Maya grabbed the first one's weapon. She used it to shoot the second. Then she threw the gun at the third's head while it was stunned. She closed the distance, hand-to-hand combat was something humans excelled at. Her instructors at training had called her gifted. That was before they saw what she could really do. The Ravager went down. Maya Moved to the next corridor. Her team was scattered. Now every crew member fought their own desperate battle. The communications channel filled with reports. Section 7 secure. Civilians evacuated from Medical Bay. 3 Ravagers down in engineering. Maya reached the main civilian shelter. The door had been breached inside. A dozen Ravagers surrounded over 100 civilians. Maya assessed the situation in seconds. She had no team. She had 1 rifle. With half a charge, she had her knife and her training. It would have to be enough. She opened fire from the doorway. 3 Ravagers fell before the others reacted. Then she was among them. Speed and surprise were her only advantages. She used both without mercy. The aliens were stronger and tougher, but Maya knew something they did not. Humans had been predators for millions of years. Every instinct in her body knew how to kill. She moved between the enemies like water. When they tried to grab her, she was already gone. When they fired their weapons, she was behind them. Her knife found weak points with surgical precision. The fight lasted 14 minutes. When it ended, Maya stood alone among the fallen Ravagers. The civilians stared at her in shock. A small child from the Vest species stepped forward. "You saved us." Maya knelt down. "We all saved each other," she said gently. "Can you walk?" "Yes." "Then follow me. We're getting everyone out." She led the group through the station. More crew members joined them with other civilians. By the time they reached the docking area, coalition reinforcements had arrived. 3 battle cruisers surrounded the station. The surviving Ravagers surrendered. Maya stood in the docking bay covered in blood. Most of it was not hers. Admiral Carter from the lead cruiser approached her. "Lieutenant Brooks," he said, "that was the most extraordinary combat action I have witnessed in 40 years of service. I did what needed to be done." "Sir, you saved 847 lives. You destroyed 3 enemy warships. You led a boarding action against impossible odds and won. The coalition wants to give you the Star of Valor." Maya shook her head. "I respectfully decline." "Sir, you cannot decline. This action deserves recognition." "Then recognize my crew," Maya said. "They fought just as hardy. Do not want to be in the spotlight. Siri do not want to be a symbol or a target." Admiral Carter studied her for a long moment. "What do you want?" "Lieutenant, I want to keep serving, but I want to learn more first. I want to attend the academy. I want to understand how other species think and fight. I can do that better if nobody knows who I am." The Admiral sighed. "You are asking me to bury the greatest combat action of the year. I am asking you to let me serve in my own way." "Sir." Finally he nodded. "The footage will be classified. Your name will be redacted. But someday this will come out. You understand that?" "Yes, sir. And when it does, you will have to accept who you are." Maya looked at the survivors being helped onto medical ships, children holding their parents, families reunited. That was what mattered. "I accept who I am." "Sir," she said, "I am a soldier who does her job, nothing more." But even as she said it, she wondered if that would be enough. 3 months later, she entered the Galactic Military Academy as just another student. She scored well enough to get in, but not well enough to stand out. She made herself average. She hid her strength. And for 3 years it worked until tomorrow, when Commander Vekran would show the boarding action footage. Until tomorrow, when everyone would see her face. Until tomorrow, when hiding would no longer be an option. Maya had barely slept. She sat in the classroom the next morning with the same neutral expression she always wore. But inside her mind was racing. Commander Vekran entered precisely on time. His scales were an interested shade of purple today. "I read your preliminary assessments last night," he said. "Most of you focused on the tactical errors. You claimed the commander was reckless. You said the decisions violated established doctrine. He activated the holographic display. Today you will see why doctrine sometimes must be broken." The footage began with the boarding action. Maya watched herself on screen, leading her team through the station corridors. The video quality was better than she had hoped, not good enough yet. Observe the team formations. Vekran instructed. They do not follow standard coalition patterns. Dexler raised his crest. Because they are poorly trained. Look at how they split up that creates vulnerability. Does it? Vekran asked. Watch what happens next. The footage showed Maya's team hitting Ravager forces from 3 directions simultaneously. Aliens were confused by the unconventional attack. The commander uses unpredictability as a weapon. A student from the Kelter species observed. Each team operates independently. The Ravagers cannot anticipate their movements. Maya kept her breathing steady on screen. She fought through a group of enemies. Her movements were efficient and brutal. That fighting style. Lyria said softly. The Vest student's large eyes were focused intently on the hologram. It is pure combat instinct. Zara leaned forward. The commander fights like they have nothing to lose, or everything to protect. Someone else added the footage. Continued. Maya saw herself moving through the station. She remembered every decision, every life saved, every enemy stopped. Then the recording reached the civilian shelter. The camera angle showed her entering alone. It showed the 14 minutes of combat. That followed. The classroom fell completely silent. Students watched as a single soldier fought a dozen enemies and won. Impossible. Dexler whispered, no one fights like that. Humans do. Zara said. There was pride in her voice. That is how we survived. Earth, that is how we fight when everything depends on it. The footage showed Maya kneeling beside the Vest child, showing gentleness. After such violence, the commander transitions from warrior to protector instantly. Lyria observed, such emotional control is extraordinary. Maya felt the telepathic student's attention on her again. Vekran paused the footage. Now comes the final segment. He said, the rescue of the civilians and the aftermath. He advanced the recording. Image quality improved as coalition forces arrived with better cameras. Maya's face would be clearly visible soon. She had seconds to decide, run from the classroom or face what was coming. She chose to stay. Footage showed her in the docking bay, blood covered and exhausted, speaking with Admiral Carter. The camera angle was perfect. Her face filled the holographic display. Vekran froze the image. The silence in the classroom was absolute. Every eye moved from the hologram to Maya sitting in the back corner. She met their stares calmly. 3 years of hiding ended in that moment. Lieutenant Brooks, Vekran said slowly, would you care to explain? Maya stood. Her movements were controlled and precise. I am the commander from the footage. Sir, why did you not mention this before? Because I came to the academy to learn not to be famous. Fame is a distraction from purpose. Dexlar's crest flared. You have been hiding your abilities, making us think you were average. Why? Because average students ask better questions. Maya replied, they listen more and talk less. I learned more by being underestimated than I ever would have by showing off. That is deceptive. Dexler accused. That is strategic, Maya corrected. You of all people should understand strategy. Vekran's scale shifted through several colors. You deliberately scored low on evaluations. I scored adequately. Maya said, there is a difference. I learned what was taught. I simply did not demonstrate everything. I already knew. Zara stood up. You have been my roommate for 2 years. Why did you never tell me? Maya looked at her friend. Would you have treated me the same if you knew? Would anyone? I did not want special treatment. I wanted to be a student. You are not just a student. Lyria said. Her voice was gentle but firm. You are a warrior who saved hundreds of lives. You cannot hide from that truth. I can try, Maya said, but even as she spoke, she knew it was over. The trying was done. Vekran deactivated the hologram. The coalition classified this incident. How did you get clearance to show it? Sir, someone asked. I am the academy tactical instructor. Vekran replied, I requested the footage months ago for educational purposes. I did not know Lieutenant Brooks was enrolled here. The timing is coincidental. He looked at Maya with new respect. No. Perhaps not entirely coincidental, Admiral Carter recommended you for this program personally. He must have known this day would come. Maya had suspected as much. The Admiral had given her 3 years of anonymity, but he had also ensured she would eventually have to face her past. What happens now? Zara asked. Vikram considered the question. Now Lieutenant Brooks must prove that her skills are current. She has been hiding for 3 years. Training must be maintained or it degrades. Dexler stood. His crest was fully extended in challenge. I demand a simulation test if she is truly as skilled as that footage shows. Let her prove it now. That is not necessary, Maya began. It is required. Vekran interrupted. Your final evaluation is incomplete. You must demonstrate current tactical capability. When? Maya asked. Tomorrow you will face a combat simulation against 3 opponents of your choosing. I choose to face it alone. The scenario requires defending a civilian transport. You need a crew. Then I will face 3 opponents who each have crews. Maya said, I will operate alone. The class erupted in protest. That is suicide. No one can handle a simulation that way. You are being prideful. Maya waited for the noise to die down. I'm being realistic, she said calmly. I work best alone, I always have. Dexler's eyes gleamed. Then I volunteer as your first opponent. I will show everyone that one lucky battle does not make you superior. Accepted. Maya said. 2 more students volunteered. Both were top-ranked in the combat simulation programs. Vekran nodded. Tomorrow at 1400 hours, the entire academy will observe Lieutenant Brooks. I suggest you prepare carefully. I am always prepared. Sir. The class was dismissed. Students crowded around Maya. Some wanted autographs. Some wanted to challenge her stories. Some just wanted to stare. Maya pushed through the crowd. She needed air and space. Illyria caught up with her in the hallway. I could never read your thoughts, the vest said. Now I understand why you have built walls in your mind that even telepaths cannot breach. I value my privacy. You value your secrets. There is a difference. Maya stopped walking. What do you want from me? I want to understand. Lyria said, how can someone fight with such ferocity and then show such gentleness? How can you be both warrior and protector without conflict? They are not separate things. Maya explained. I fight to protect. The ferocity comes from caring. If I did not care about those civilians, I would not have risked everything to save them. Lyria tilted her head. Humans are strange. Most species separate their violent nature from their compassionate nature. You combine them. Maybe that is why we survive. Maya continued walking. Zara was waiting at their dorm room. You could have told me, Zara said when Maya entered. I wanted to, but you did not trust me. I trusted you. Maya said, I just did not trust myself to maintain the disguise. If people knew one person, knowing becomes 2 becomes 5. Soon everyone knows. And now everyone does know. Yes, Zara smiled suddenly. My mom is going to lose her mind when I tell her I've been rooming with the hero of Arcturus 7. Please do not call me that. Why not? You are a hero. I am a soldier who did her job. Heroes are what other people call you when they do not understand the cost. What was the cost? Maya sat on her bunk. 10 crew members died in that action. Their families paid the cost. Just carry the memory. The room fell quiet. Finally, Zara spoke. Tomorrow you are going to destroy those 3 opponents. Are you not? Yes, good. Zara said. Dexler has needed someone to humble him for 3 years. Maya allowed herself a small smile. Humility is the best teacher. Is that why you hid your strength? Partly also because strength without humility becomes arrogance. Arrogance gets people killed. She lay back on her bunk. Tomorrow she would fight without hiding. Tomorrow everyone would see what she could really do. The thought was both freeing and terrifying. For 3 years she had been invisible. Tomorrow she would be impossible to ignore. She closed her eyes. In her mind she was already running through the simulation, planning every move, anticipating every threat. Old Habits awakened like sleeping giants. The warrior she had buried was rising again, and this time there would be no going back to average. The simulation arena was packed. Every cadet at the academy had come to watch. They filled the observation decks that surrounded the combat zone. Maya stood alone in the staging area. She wore the standard simulation suit that would register hits and damage. Around her neck was the neural interface that would connect her to the simulated ship systems across the arena. Dexler stood with his crew of 4. The Kryn looked confident. His crest was raised high. Next to his staging area were 2 more teams. Each had 5 members. Maya would face 15 opponents total. "This is insane," Zara said from the observation deck. She sat next to Lyria, who simply watched with her large eyes. "She cannot win against 3 full crews, can she not?" Lyria replied, "You saw the footage. That was real combat with real stakes. This is a simulation. Do you think she knows the difference?" Down in the arena, Commander Vekran activated the scenario. "The situation is simple," his voice echoed through the space. "A civilian transport is under attack by raiders. 4 enemy ships. You must protect the transport until it can jump to safety. That requires 10 minutes. The holographic environment materialized around each team. They were in simulated ship bridges. Maya's bridge was empty, except for her. She stood at the central command station with controls for every system helm. Weapons, shields, engineering, all of it under her control alone. "Begin." Vekran commanded. The scenario start. Maya's sensors showed the civilian transported was damaged and moving slowly. 4 raider ships were closing in behind her. Came Dexler and the other 2 academy teams. They were supposed to be helping her, but this was also a competition. Thaxel opened fire on the raiders immediately. His crew worked in perfect coordination. Weapons officer calling targets, helm officer executing maneuvers, shield officer managing defenses. It was textbook coalition tactics. The raiders scattered under the assault. Then they regrouped and focused fire on Dexler's ship. His shields began to fail. "Request assistance." Dexler called over the common channel. The other 2 teams moved to support. And Maya did not. She was studying the raiders' pattern, watching how they moved, learning their strategy. "Brooks, we need support," one of the other team leaders called. Maya remained silent. She adjusted her course slightly. The raiders broke into 2 groups. 2 ships focused on the academy teams. 2 ships moved toward the civilian transport. Maya's ship accelerated. "What is she doing?" someone in the observation deck asked. "She's ignoring the fight." Another replied, "She is focusing on the mission." Lyria said quietly. Maya's ship positioned itself between the raiders and the transport when the enemy ships opened fire. She was ready. Her shields absorbed the hits. Then she returned fire with precision that made the observers gasp. Both raider ships took critical damage in seconds. "How did she target both ships simultaneously?" a student asked. "She is running all stations herself," Vekran explained. "Watch her hands." Maya's fingers moved across multiple control panels. She adjusted shields with her left hand while firing weapons with her right. Her eyes tracked 3 holographic displays at once. She was doing the work of 5 people, and she was doing it faster than any single crew. The 2 damaged raiders retreated. Maya did not pursue. She held position near the transport. Meanwhile, Dexler and the others were struggling. Remaining 2 raiders had called for reinforcements. The scenario escalated. "This is beyond the standard parameters," Dexler protested. "The raiders should not have backup. Real enemies do not follow parameters." Vekran replied, "Adapt." 6 raider ships now filled the simulation. Thexler's shields collapsed. His ship registered as disabled. 1 of the other teams suffered the same fate. The last academy team tried to run. The raiders cut them off. Within minutes, all 3 opposing teams were eliminated. The civilian transport was still 9 minutes from jump capability. Maya faced 6 enemy ships alone. The observation deck fell silent. This was impossible. 1 ship could not defeat 6. Maya did not seem to care about impossible. She moved her ship into the debris field from the disabled Academy vessels. She used the wreckage as cover when the raiders tried to surround her. She was already gone. She appeared behind one raider ship. Her weapons struck its engines. The ship went dead in space. 5 raiders left. They coordinated their attack better. 3 ships approached from different angles, while 2 protected the flanks. Standard pack tactics. Maya did something no Academy instructor had ever taught. She shut down her own shields. Is she surrendering? Someone gasped. Then Maya diverted all shield power to engines her ship, shot forward at impossible speed. She rammed straight through the center of the enemy formation. The raiders scattered in confusion now. Sane commander would sacrifice shields for speed, but Maya was not fighting sanely. She was fighting like a human, like someone who understood that unpredictability was worth more than protection. She looped back and targeted the raider ships. One by one, her weapons fire was precise. Every shot hit critical systems, engines, weapons, sensors. She disabled rather than destroyed. Within 4 minutes, she had neutralized 4 more raiders. 2 ships remained. They tried to flee. Maya pursued the transport. Zara said from the observation deck, "She is leaving it undefended." "No," Lyria replied. "Look at the trajectory." Maya had calculated her pursuit course perfectly. She chased the raiders in a wide arc that brought her back toward the transport. The enemy ships realized the trap too late when they tried to turn toward the civilian ship. Maya was already between them. Her weapons fire ended the simulation. All 6 raiders disabled. The civilian transport jumped to safety. Time elapsed 8 minutes and 43 seconds. Arena fell completely silent. Then someone started clapping. Others joined soon. The entire observation deck was applauding. Maya removed her neural interface. She was breathing hard. Running an entire ship alone was exhausting. But she had one. Thexlor emerged from his staging area. His crest was lowered in defeat. "That was impossible," he said. "You cannot operate a ship alone. You cannot defeat 6 enemies. You cannot. Cannot is a word that limits possibility." Maya interrupted. "I did what needed to be done. You broke every rule." "I broke every conventional rule," Maya corrected. "There is a difference. Conventions are for normal circumstances. Nothing about combat is normal." Vekran descended from the observation deck. His scales were the deepest purple Maya had ever seen. Pure respect. That was the most extraordinary simulation performance in Academy history, he said. "You set a new record, 8 minutes 43 seconds. Previous record was 15 minutes with a full crew." "I had motivation." "What motivation?" Maya looked at the disabled hologram of the civilian transport. "People depend on us to protect them. Records do not matter. Lives matter." She walked toward the exit. Students parted to let her through. Some still stared in disbelief. Others looked at her with newfound respect. Lyria approached her in the corridor. "Now everyone knows," the vest said. "Now you cannot hide anymore." "I know." "How does it feel?" Maya considered the question. "Freeing," she admitted, "and terrifying. For 3 years I've been small and quiet. Now I have to be something else." "You have to be yourself." "What?" "If myself is too much for people to accept." Lyria smiled. It was a gentle expression on her alien features. "Then they will learn to expand their acceptance. You cannot make yourself smaller to fit their comfort. It serves no one." Zara caught up to them. "The Academy Commandant wants to see you." "Of course he does." They walked together to the administration building. The Commandant was a Kelter named Director Hayes. He had led the Academy for 20 years. Lieutenant Brooks. He greeted her. "That was quite a performance." "Thank you, sir. I want to offer you a position after you graduate. Stay on as an instructor, teach combat tactics." Maya shook her head. "I appreciate the offer, sir, but I need to return to active duty." "You could teach the next generation, shape how the coalition fights. I can do more good in the field." Students learn from examples. Let my actions be the example. Director Hayes studied her. You do not want recognition. You do not want comfort. What do you want? Lieutenant, I want to serve. I want to protect people. I want to make sure what happened at Arcturus 7 never needs to happen again. By preventing the situations that create such desperate battles. Exactly. The director nodded slowly. You remind me of the best officers I have known. Ones who understand that service is not about glory. It is about duty. My parents taught me that. Sir, they taught you well. Maya left the office outside. The evening sun was setting over the academy grounds. Students were heading to dinner. Life continued as normal, except nothing was normal anymore. The recordings of her simulation would spread through the coalition. Her name would be known across 100 worlds. She could never be invisible again. Zara walked beside her. Are you okay? I am adjusting. To being famous, to being visible. Maya corrected. Fame is what other people decide. Visibility is just being seen. And you prefer not to be seen. I prefer to be underestimated, but that option is gone now. They reached the dormitory. Maya looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there. People needed protection somewhere out there. New threats were emerging. She had hidden her strength for 3 years now. She would use it openly. The galaxy would learn what one human could do when everything was at stake, and maybe that lesson would prevent future battles, or maybe it would just prepare people for the ones to come. Either way. Hiding was over. The warrior was awake, and she would never sleep again. 6 months after the simulation, Maya stood on the bridge of the coalition cruiser Defender. She wore the uniform of a tactical advisor with the rank of commander. Her promotion had come quickly once the academy revealed her true capabilities too. Quickly for her comfort. But the coalition needed experienced officers who understood both human tactics and alien military doctrine. Maya was uniquely qualified. Commander Brooks. Captain Lee called from the command chair. We have incoming distress signal from the mining colony on Epsilon Ridge. Maya moved to the tactical display. The colony was on the edge of coalition space. Vulnerable. Nature of the threat. Unknown hostiles. 3. Ship's colony defenses are offline. Maya studied the tactical situation. The variables fell into place in her mind. Distance. Time. Enemy capabilities. Captain, recommend we proceed at maximum speed. Deploy fighter screen on arrival position. The defender between the colony and the hostile ships. Agreed. Execute. The ship jumped to hyperspace. Maya used the travel time to review intelligence reports. The frontier had been increasingly active lately. Pirates, raiders, and worse, the Ravager horde had fractured after their defeat at Arcturus 7. Splinter groups now operated independently. Some had become more dangerous in their desperation, arriving in 30 seconds. The helm officer announced. Maya pulled up the combat protocols. She had written most of them herself over the past 6 months. The coalition military was slowly adapting to incorporate human tactical thinking. It was a difficult transition. Most alien species had fought the same way for thousands of years. Humans brought chaos to their ordered systems, but chaos won battles that order could not. The defender dropped out of hyperspace immediately. Sensors registered the 3 hostile ships' Ravager signatures. The sensor officer confirmed. They are attacking the colony's orbital platform. Defensive positions. Captain Lee ordered, launch fighters. Maya watched the tactical display. Ravagers were using standard attack patterns. Predictable. Captain, they expect us to engage directly. Request permission to use alternative approach. Captain Lee was human. He had served with Maya's mother years ago, when Admiral Brooks recommended her daughter for this position. Lee had accepted immediately. Now he trusted her judgment completely. What do you propose? Commander, let them think we are following standard protocol position. The defender as expected, but deploy fighters in a flanking pattern when they commit to attacking us. The fighters strike from behind. The fighters will be exposed for 45 seconds, then they retreat behind our shields. 45 seconds is a long time in combat. It is also long enough to cripple their engines. Lee nodded. Execute your plan. Maya coordinated with the fighter squadron leader. Lieutenant Kyle Chun was one of the best pilots in the fleet. I need you to look weak. Maya told him, fly erratically, make them think you are panicking. We can do panicking. Chun replied with a grin. The Ravagers took the bait. They focused their fire on the defender. The cruiser's shields absorbed the assault easily while the enemies were distracted. Chun's squadron looped around. They came in low and fast. Plasma torpedoes struck the Ravager engines with perfect precision. All three ships went dead in space. Target their weapon systems. Maya ordered. Disable but do not destroy. Sir, standard protocol is to eliminate hostile vessels. The weapons officer said, these ships are disabled. Their crews are no longer a threat. We do not kill unnecessarily. The weapons officer looked to Captain Lee. Follow the commander's orders. The defender's precise fire took out the Ravager weapons. The enemy ships drifted helplessly. Send the boarding message. Maya said she had written it herself. It was broadcast in 12 languages. This is Commander Maya Brooks of the Coalition vessel. Defender, your ships are disabled. You have two choices: surrender and receive fair treatment under Coalition law, or attempt to fight and be destroyed. You have 60 seconds to decide. 53 seconds later, all three Ravager ships signaled surrender. Send medical teams. Maya ordered. Treat their wounded, feed their crews, show them that surrender is not the same as defeat. Captain Lee approached her tactical station. You could have destroyed them in the first volley. Yes, but you chose mercy. I chose to end the threat without unnecessary death. Those Ravagers are mostly refugees from their collapsed empire. They raid because they are desperate. Give them a better option, and some will take it. And if they do not, then we deal with them, but we try peace first. We only use violence when all other options are exhausted. The colony administrator contacted them. She was a Vess named Mara, who had served in the Coalition Medical Corps' Commander Brooks. Mara said, thank you for your restraint. Half of those Ravager crew members have families in refugee camps. Killing them would have created more enemies than it eliminated. That is why we offer surrender first. Not everyone thinks like you. Then, I will keep demonstrating better ways until they do. After the situation was resolved, Maya returned to her quarters. The room was small but private. She looked at the photograph on her desk. Her parents in their Coalition uniforms, both admirals now, both proud of their daughter, though they worried about her constantly. The door chimed. Enter Lyria. Came in the Vess, had graduated top of her class, and now served as the Defender's diplomatic officer. She and Maya had become close friends. You are thinking about the weight of visibility, Lyria observed. You can read my thoughts now. I can read your posture. You always stand differently when you are contemplating burden. Maya smiled, still adjusting. Every decision I make is watched, analyzed, copied. Other human officers model their tactics on mine. Is that not what you wanted? I wanted to serve. I did not ask to be a template. Lyria settled into the chair. You cannot choose influence. You can only choose how to use it. What if I make mistakes? What if someone copies my tactics in the wrong situation and people die? Then you learn, you adapt, you teach better. Maya sat across from her friend. At the academy I could hide. I could be nobody now. I am somebody whether I want to be or not. You were always somebody, Lyria said gently. You just pretended otherwise. The pretending was the burden. Being yourself is freedom. Being myself terrifies people sometimes. Good. Maya raised an eyebrow. Good. Fear inspires change. Lyria explained. The galaxy feared humans. When you joined the Coalition, now they fear what humans can do. That fear drives them to be better, to think differently, to question their assumptions. I do not want to be feared. You want to be respected. Fear and respect are close neighbors. The challenge is transforming one into the other. The conversation was interrupted by an alert. All senior officers to the bridge. Captain Lee's voice announced Maya and Lyria hurried to their stations. On the main display was Admiral Carter, the same admiral who had given Maya her choice 3 years ago. Commander Brooks. He greeted her. Admiral, I have new orders for you. We need someone to lead a task force along the frontier, multiple coalition species working together, human. Tactical thinking combined with alien capabilities. I am not qualified to command a task force. Sir, you are the most qualified officer we have. You understand how different species fight. You know how to combine their strengths, and you have proven that human methods work. Maya hesitated. This was another step into visibility, another level of responsibility. Sir, I am only 25 years old. There are officers with decades more experience. Experience can become tradition. Carter replied. Tradition can become stagnation. We need fresh thinking. We need someone who fights outside conventions. When would this begin? In 3 months, you will have time to prepare. Maya looked at Captain Leahy. Nodded encouragement. She looked at Lyria, who smiled. I accept. Sir, good, one more thing. Your Arcturus 7 footage is being released to the public. Maya's heart sank. Sir, you promised. I promised anonymity until the time was right. Carter interrupted. That time has come. The coalition needs heroes. They need to see that different species can do extraordinary things. Your story inspires hope. I did not fight for inspiration. I fought for survival. All the more reason to share it. Real heroism is born from necessity, not glory. The transmission ended. Maya stood quietly for a moment. The entire galaxy will know now, she said. Yes, Lyria replied. And I suppose hiding is truly over. Zara's voice came over Maya's personal her old roommate was now a junior tactical officer on a destroyer. Did you just get the news about the footage release? Yes, my mom called me. Zara said. She is already planning a ceremony. Admiral Brooks wants to give you the Star of Valor publicly. I declined that years ago. You cannot decline forever. Sometimes you have to let people say thank you. Maya sighed. When did you become wise? I learned from my roommate. She taught me that strength and humility can coexist. 3 months later, Maya stood before a gathering of coalition leaders. The ceremony was broadcast across hundreds of worlds. She wore her dress uniform with medals. She had never won an admiral. Carter pinned the Star of Valor to her chest. She gave a brief speech about service and sacrifice. She mentioned her crew from Arcturus 7. The ones who died, the ones who survived, the ones who deserved recognition more than she did. When it was over, she returned to the Defender. Her task force was assembled. 5 ships from 4 different species, all waiting for her leadership. Captain Lee shook her hand. You are going to do great things, Commander. I am going to try not to fail. That is all anyone can do. Maya took command of her flagship. The cruiser was new and powerful. They had named it the Aurora, symbol of new beginnings.